Good evening. This is a meeting of the Raymond Recycling Committee, and I'm calling the meeting to order. I'm Grace Levitt, I'm the chair. We do have the other committee members here in person and on Zoom. It's been a while since we've met, so perhaps introductions would be good again as well. On Zoom, we have our vice chair, Susan Accardi, and also on Zoom, for the select board, Rolf Olson. Here in person with me is Jessica Fay and Kathy Goslin, and also our town manager, Don Willard. Sue Look is here this evening as well, and also Nathan White is here as well, giving us an update, hopefully in a minute or two. And we don't have Karen Lockwood here just yet, but hopefully she's on her way. So we'll see if she joins us in a minute. So the first item on the agenda is approval of the previous meeting minutes, which actually are from June 2nd, was our last meeting. It feels like a year ago, but not that long ago. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Thank you. And a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. And any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor of approval of the minutes of June 2nd? Sue, are you all set? Okay, great. Thank you. We have approved the minutes. Thank you. So on to new business, asking for Public Works Director Nathan White to give us a report on compost bins, sample compost bin, recycle tote to display. I'm not sure if we're going to be doing this on election day or what, because obviously we're already into October, but let's see where the discussion goes on this. Thank you.
On the compost bins, I had Sue help me a little bit today with them. You can find them online. They're $130 to $250 depending on what you want. We would have to purchase one to have at our site. Casella and the other two companies that I called weren't willing to just give us a sampler. They don't have them. The totes, we still have the tote that we had at the last election for samples. Pricing on those are going up. She said weekly. I talked to Mrs. Bent today, and she said they're $59, $60 going up. She said the best thing to do is get a count of what we want and then call and get pricing on that. Outside of that, that's about all I got. The other thing that I would, in talking to Mrs. Bent, Wyndham, as you all know, is looking at the automated curbside pickup program, and Casella Waste is strongly pushing that way for us. We're locked into a contract until 26. I don't know where this is going to go. She seems to think that this is going to be the way of the future and how things are going to be coming up. So I don't know if that changes things or.
The understanding we had before was that, Auburn was going to get the truck, but that didn't happen.
Auburn's not doing it yet.
Auburn's not doing it yet. So you have to have a critical mass or a major, I guess town. So that might be Wyndham in this case, and then some of the smaller towns would participate with that same equipment, I guess.
There's a lot of restructuring that's going to have to go on. She told me this. There's going to be a lot of restructuring that's going to have to go on for this to work. One of the discussions we got into was private roads. She went on to tell me that Wyndham's working on a private road program in Wyndham. I told her that I would be surprised if that really passed here. When I mentioned that we don't maintain any of the private roads, that didn't really go well. She said that's going to be a problem. They talked about getting a smaller truck, and they'll run the smaller truck in and out of the roads. Then we'll get talking about the tonnage that we're doing on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and that's going to be another problem. But we are a ways out from it. It's going to be expensive. Just for Raymond, you're probably looking at $400,000 for totes in that neighborhood.
For the automated totes.
For the automated totes.
Yeah, I know that the towns have bought them. I know Scarborough bought them, and
They're looking at two programs with Wyndham, whether the town buys them or Casella buys them. The advantage, and she was saying the advantage of Casella purchasing them If something gets damaged, Casella will bring out another one. If the town owns them, we would have to have an inventory of repair parts and totes and
Right, but
whatnot.
the town's gonna buy them either way, though, because they're gonna be
Oh,
built
yeah,
in the
they're gonna,
contract.
they're gonna recover the cost whether we own them or they own them. They're gonna
Right.
recover them in the contract. And the way pricing's going and the way labor rates are going and operating expenses are going, she said they're gonna shy away from the 5-year contract and try to go back to a 3-year contract. I was thinking more like 10 or 15-year contract would be a lot better for us. It pulls the cost out further and it gives you a better structure of what it's gonna cost.
So can I just clarify, the totes you're talking about are, there's one for recycling and there's one for
Correct.
the trash? So
Yep.
there's 2 totes per household?
Correct.
Okay.
Right, you can get smaller totes for senior citizens, and then the large totes, I think they're just large and small, as far as I know. And then the automated pick, but the problem's gonna be, I think, the narrow roads, the difficult roads, the volume of people that we have, households on those roads, and, you know, you're not gonna do it with one little truck.
No.
And so that's a problem, and I don't know what Wyndham's doing, but I'm sure they're doing something to improve the situation on
They're-
those roads.
Mrs. Bent, I'm getting 2 conflicting stories, one from the Public Works Department in Wyndham, that yay, it's going great. She said they're running into all kinds of problems. Confident that they're gonna work through them, but it's a ways out.
So since the contract for us is till 26, there would be no change until 26? Even
Correct.
if they start using the automated pickups in other towns?
I doubt it. I don't think they would come to us and change. They could. I mean, there's nothing in the contract that says they can't.
Okay.
They could come forward and say, we're gonna go to this program. They've changed the recycling on us several times through the contract. I don't think they will, because they got Auburn's out to 27, I think it is, on their contract. They just signed a new contract.
But by the same token, if we wanted to do it, there's nothing that would prevent us from reopening the contract if we wanted to do it. You know, I'm not sure we would, but, you know, so I'm agreeing with him. I don't think we'd be compelled to do it.
Go ahead.
So the question is, in anticipation of making these changes in the system and the way that we have trash pickup and recycling pickup, do we, given the potential change down the road, do we want to have people buy totes and then tell them that they have to change them?
I
That's
wouldn't.
the question,
I
right?
wouldn't. I realize that even if they're at $60 a piece, it's not a ton of money, but in dealing with trash and recycling for 30 years here, it's near and dear to people's heart, and they will be really butthurt if you've got a couple hundred people that have bought totes, and then we come out with these nice shiny, owned by Casella or the town of Raymond, and so we can't use them anymore. Here are your 2 new ones. My recommendation would be to hold off.
Wasn't that Talia's recommendation as well?
Yes, that was her recommendation too. Drag your feet is what she said.
She's Casella's person he was talking to. Yeah.
She's our recycling representative.
You remember.
But we could still do the, oh, sorry.
Yeah, no,
Oh.
go ahead. Rolf's been
So
trying to
I
get
thought-
in, but we could still do the other totes. I mean, given what the situation is right now, it might be for another 3 years that people are using them. But Rolf, sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, if, you know, the option would be ultimately to do that, we buy them or Casella buys them, they own them. But if Casella buys, can we buy, you know, because they obviously have a bigger bulk buy than we would have. Would we be able to buy them from them at cost?
I don't know. I would assume so. I would assume they would.
I mean, their bulk buy is gonna be in the multi-thousands, where ours would be in the
Hundreds of thousands, yeah.
much lower. So when you look at price breaks, you know, by combining 2 or 3 towns, they're gonna get a better price break than we can get by ourselves.
Assuming they pass them through at cost and don't put a multiplier on them of some kind.
Yeah. I mean, and then the other thing is there a potential out there of any grants to assist on that?
I don't know of any. I did a little digging on grant stuff for recycling and didn't come up with a lot.
But
Come up with
I'm
anything.
looking, well, I'm talking more from the standpoint of from the state and things like that, because if the push is towards recycling and whatnot, are they gonna put any skin in the game or not?
So
Yeah,
I
go
would
ahead.
say that there are some state grants available for recycling, but mostly they're for technical assistance. I don't think that they're necessarily to buy the infrastructure for it.
That's what I was looking at, was for
yeah.
infrastructure.
Yeah.
Even was looking for a truck. Not that I really want to get into that at all.
But it still goes back to the question, the people that had indicated an interest in buying the new recycle bins for the $60 or so, we had a list, right? Sue's got a list and we just haven't gotten them for them yet. That was sort of, that was the next step where we were waiting to see, they needed to put a deposit, get them ordered. So the question is, do we not now do that? Because in a few years, we might be doing something else, or
I can-
meanwhile, we're recycling, I hope.
I can speak personally, $60 wouldn't stop me from buying one.
Right.
But in dealing with these people for as long as I have, you'd want to have some sort of avenue to pay them back, maybe derate them, or maybe nothing, or maybe advise them that this is a possibility coming down the road. And I don't know that these totes, if we buy the right totes, I believe they all load onto the truck the same way, so it wouldn't matter if we bought Billy Bob's totes or Sally's totes. I think they're all compatible. The only thing she did recommend was to stick with the 65-gallon one. That's the one we brought in for show and tell. And I would strongly recommend that if the people that want them, we get a deposit, so we're not stuck with them.
We talked about that before. Kathy, go ahead.
So Sue, how many names do you have on the list? Because I remember from the last election, there was very few for the composting, but more were interested in the recycling. And I guess my suggestion would be, where we're kind of in limbo with the other company, whether it's 3 years or 4 years, maybe we just find whether it's Amazon or some other company and say we have 60 people, point them in that direction. Here is the Zoom link, a web link. It will cost you $60, order it there. Have it delivered straight to their house and get the town out of doing it. Unless we have a few hundred people, but I don't think we're at that many.
The ones you're going to buy on Amazon and online, they're nowhere near as rugged as these things. You can get the better ones at Home Depot and Lowe's. That's where
Okay,
we've
so
gotten a couple
whether
of them.
it's Home Depot, but they still do
They're
online.
$80, $90 though.
Do you really think ours are only gonna be $60?
Yeah, they're going to be today. They would have been 61. I think they were today.
And plus, you're saying the ones you're talking about, Nathan, then can still be used for the
Could still
automated
be
system.
used on the automated system if they
So
went to it.
why wouldn't we go ahead and get them?
Right, and the only thing would be if you wanted some kind of standardization, like the towns that I'm familiar with have done this and bought them, they have the town logo, they all match, this sort of thing, but they're nothing special in terms of what they are. They're just, high-quality commercial totes. If you pointed people in the direction of that, and we somehow went to automation, and they had the right, type of tote, and you didn't care about the idea of it being marked with the town, logo and so forth, then it would be fine.
Well, given the situation now, where we see all sorts of ways that people put their recycling out and don't, I don't know that that would be a concern that I would have, that, they would be different down the road, so.
I don't think it's a big issue either at this point, but they do tend to want standardization though.
One of the things that we've struggled with is identifying the totes. People don't seem to be marking them, and with the lid down, we have a problem with them getting picked up. And when you purchase these from the companies that they recommend, they're going to say recycling or MSW or trash. I think mine says household trash on the top of it.
So Sue, you want to weigh in on this too? Because you were collecting the names, I believe, or
There's
helping with that.
there's about 60 on the list.
Right.
They're all in the computer, all these names, so there is probably more because people might have gone right online and signed up.
And
But there's about 60 that I got that from the these sheets that I have. But they're all online in the setup that we have. So what we need to use that. Most of them want the recycling tote. Many want the compost totes. maybe two-thirds want the compost bins as well as the recycling. And most of them want the recycling, but a lot of the compost. So we do, but if these totes work for the automated pickup, then that's great. So the ones if we get them, we don't have to worry, if we go to automated, hopefully they're still around in 4 or 5 years. But that seems to,
Yep.
solve the problem of whether we should do this now or not. I mean, it would be good to get people used to using these, because when you go into towns, like Falmouth, and you look at everybody's trash, 2 bins, lined up, they're all similar, nothing else around. It's nice. It's nice, but we have a long ways to go to get there. I mean, I know that now I look at the side of the road on trash day and see we have a long ways to go. So it'd be good to get these bins now and start training people if for the automated that comes down the road, and we would be in better shape. So I think we should go and get these and see if people still, put a deposit down. I'm going to get one myself. But it's going to take a long time training people with this business.
Did you have something?
Yeah, I actually have 3 points. I hope I remember all 3 of them that I'd like to make. And I think picking up on something that Sue said, which is, I don't know what kind of problem we have with sort of residuals on the side of the road on trash day, and what those issues might be. But it might solve some of the problems if we start to have standardized totes that people will realize that, if I can't fit it in this thing, they're not going to just pile up a giant stack of whatever next to there, and that ends up out in the environment. I think that was just one thing I thought I wanted to point out. The second thing was that the part of the reason why we're talking about the compost was to try to reduce the weight of the trash that we're throwing away. And so I just wanted to remind us that that was part of our hopefully reducing the cost, so that we could balance that with the cost of recycling.
I hear it on a regular basis from Dave McNally. The amount of weight would be reduced by a lot, getting the food waste out. And that's going to save a ton of money, because that's where a lot of our cost is the per ton to get rid of the MSW.
So, so to explain to people the benefit, well, recycling costs us more. I mean, that's a fact. But if you want to minimize that, then it's good to recycle, and people want to recycle. So to minimize that cost, composting is the way to offset it, for sure. I mean, it's an argument that can be made.
So the issue with the compost bins, you started off with the price range and not having the sample lent to us for people to see. But people already indicated they want a compost bin without having
100
seen what it looked like.
For, what was the
So-
cheapest one, Sue, 130?
You said
That
130.
look like decent ones, yes.
Yeah.
If we're gonna do this and you wanna show people, why not just buy a
That's what I was
couple
gonna
and
say,
get
we'll
them
just
here?
buy one, we'll order one online, we'll order it, and
Yeah, one of
we'll
each or
get an
whatever.
idea of what it is, and if it's any good.
So some people have already indicated they want one without seeing it. Perhaps what would work is communicating with the people,
That want them,
we need a deposit for the recycle tote.
yeah.
Decide on an amount and get it to us by whenever, then make the order and then come pick it up, pay the rest. But here is what you can also get for a compost bin. Just send them a picture in
Yeah.
the same message. If it's going to be an email, I'm hoping that we send out to
We
people.
have mostly emails for folks,
Okay.
and I should have run the numbers before now, but a month ago, there were 97 requests for recycle bins and 67 for totes, for compost.
Great.
97
Very good.
cents, Sue.
That's great.
Yes.
Okay.
So the compost bins that we had before, years ago, granted, they were $35. Is that what?
Those-
Is that what we're looking at again? And is that what you mean is $120?
Those are through a grant, those are all set with grant money that we did that
Oh.
last round. Louise Lester pulled that all together. But they did the same thing back then. You had to put a deposit down for it. And then we
Oh,
ordered
that's
them.
why, that's why they were only $35, because we
Correct.
had some money to help pay,
It's state
offset it?
money, I think it was.
Oh, okay.
So could the communication be, here's 97 people, we need this amount for a deposit for the recycle bin. Here's a picture of the compost bin. We need a deposit of this amount if you want to, just so they see it before they're actually giving a deposit. So is that the way to go?
I think it needs to be a little bit more information, you know, the actual pictures, the actual price, when the order's gonna get in, and how are you going to receive it? Do you have to pick it up? When is your deposit due? How do you make your final payment? Because if they're going to the sand, I'm just saying the sand and salt shed to pick it up, and nobody's there to collect my money or to see that
Oh,
I
you'd have,
paid for
yeah,
one.
you'd have to do the deposit before you ordered, balance due on pickup, and have dates to pick them up. That's what we did last time, is we had dates. I don't remember the date program.
So
but
we gotta get kind of all of that done to figure out what to tell them. Because I'm not gonna order, I'm planning on ordering one, I already have composters, but until you tell me the price and the
Right.
logistics, people aren't gonna,
Yeah.
all we asked for was interest prior. Some people may say $60 is great, or $60 is too much.
Well, I also wonder how many of those people are maybe summer residents, and we may have another round. Just, it's very possible.
Would we have a place to store extras? Because didn't you
Yeah.
get a discount depending upon the
could-
order?
When I talked to her last time, which was 3-4 months ago, 5 months ago now, there was a price break for 100, and I think the next price break was 500, and then it got into, and there weren't huge price breaks. They were 2%, 3%.
But
So
we wanna at least hit the 100.
yeah, well, 2% on $60 at 100 totes. That's a little bit more than coffee money.
Well, the town gets, because of the Amazon business account that we have, we get a
Another-
little bit
yeah.
of price break for bulk orders like that, so.
So,
Now comes another question. I don't mean to rain on everybody's. What about sales tax? We don't pay sales tax on anything. Do we need to collect sales tax on this?
If we're purchasing them, and then reselling them, I don't think
I
that,
don't
we're the
think so,
purchaser,
yeah.
the original purchaser, we're probably okay.
Okay.
That's my thing, I'm gonna stick to it.
Okay. I'll go with that. That sounds good.
Yeah, I
right
mean, we're
now.
purchasing it, so we can purchase them, tax exempt.
Related question, do we have anywhere the copy of the grant that Louise wrote back in the day? I mean,
20 years ago.
I know,
Or
okay.
or more.
I
It's
mean-
been a while. Yeah.
Time flies, I
The
guess.
answer would be maybe, we
Maybe.
can put Sue searching paper archives.
Well, I don't
I
want
can
Sue to
call
have to
Louise
search.
and see if she
Louise
has
might have
any.
a copy.
I mean, that, yeah. I'm just
Or
curious
know
because I
where
don't
it is.
know if that grant is still available, and it might be worth just, I'll run that down and see if there's any grants available for composting.
And of course, if there aren't, and composting were deemed to be something that was in the public interest, we could always, change the program, right?
We could,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's another way to do it.
potentially.
Do you think Eco Maine might have some information? They're big. Their composting is. They're very big on that.
It's a good
Wonder
question.
if they
I was
would-
gonna reach
I
out to
could-
DEP.
They probably would, not an eco-town, but they seem willing to help, so they probably
Yeah.
would help you.
I have a card from one of them I got at the fair, so I could call them. That's
Right.
number.
so it's sounding like this is the way to go with the details that Kathy's saying people will need in order to decide and in order for this to go smoothly. How do we make this happen? Who's sending the message?
Well, Nate,
Yes.
they would go to the sand and salt shed, and we're getting into winter, is this not a good time of year, or
No, it's.
you're
Well,
okay?
the only thing that would be a headache if you gave somebody a date and it snowed, that would be a bit of a problem.
Well, the other thing is that most delivery trucks don't deliver to the sand and salt building.
Yeah, they do.
They will?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we could. No, that's not a problem.
Okay.
So maybe when we find out how soon they'll be delivered, we could pick like the 3 consecutive weekends and pick up. We'd have to staff it, 10 to 2 or whatever.
Yep.
So I'm gonna get pricing on blocks of 100. We got 97, so I'll order 100. I'll get the pricing first.
Well, and that was the number a month ago. So tomorrow I can get an updated number from
Oh,
Kate.
that, yeah, on the totes,
Yes.
the number of candidate, people that want them?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Do you want a color preference, green, brown? I think that's the only 2 color preferences, green and brown. And blue, I think there's a blue.
Blue. Isn't
Blue.
recycling typically blue?
For, for recycling or for composting?
Recycling,
Recycling
Is blue.
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 Composting normally black because they absorb the heat.
So again, who sends out the message once we have that information? Is this something we help with somehow, or Sue's got a list? I don't know. How do we,
I
what
could
do we
easily
need to?
put together an email to go with it and, send
And
it
I-
to the group.
If we wanted to, see what the numbers are by advertising it, you have various means, social media, the website, the Roadrunner, the signs. There's all kind, an article in the Wyndham Eagle and so forth, and say, here, now's the time, if you'd like one, here's how you do it.
The next
And then you might have
election.
some different numbers, and, because what happens sometimes is you do this, and you buy a certain number, and then people want them. And
Right.
so I think when we did it before, we had, extra copies, so people could come get them. But this is a little different than the bins, because storage is gonna be an issue too.
Right.
So I would probably try to figure out or find out how many people want each thing as best you can up front, and then maybe a little bit of float, but not much, and do it.
Yeah, and right now, we did the collecting names at the election, and we have a thing on the website where people can sign up for it. But we really haven't put it on the signs or,
Yeah,
Made it
I say
really
one push,
visible.
maybe put a push on for a couple of weeks and see if that gives you some more names, and then call it good on this round.
So it'll go on the electric sign, you're saying,
it can
just
go
as
on
a
the electric
reminder?
sign, yeah.
We'll put it out on all our channels,
Okay.
right?
When you say "we," is that you?
Oh, that's not me.
He's talking,
No,
he's talking to Royal We.
Okay. Just wanted to be clear, because, okay. All right,
He's
thank you,
saying-
Sue.
We,
You, not you, us.
Okay.
deposit 50%?
yeah.
I would think so, yeah.
And can you take the names off, they're on the website, in the computer, in the system, and send out, a BCC email to everybody at once?
Uh-huh, yep.
Blind, yeah,
Yeah.
and take them right off the site.
Yeah, there are a few that didn't give email addresses. There's one that actually gave us no name, no email address, and no phone number, but they'd like a compost bin, please.
Well, my list, if I called people if they didn't have an email or something, so I think the ones I put in all had pretty much an email, and if they didn't have an email, they gave me a phone number, so,
Yeah, there's really only 2 that don't have an email, so those 2 we could call.
Or we could
Yeah.
just take
But I
a
made sure I
copy
had
of the
phone numbers
email
for them.
and
Okay,
mail
yeah.
it to them. So
All right,
then they
good.
have the info.
Again, when we're saying "we," I just want to be clear, so
Yes.
it really is
So I'll
this
work
Staff.
on the
doable?
email.
Staff, oh
Kathy.
yeah,
Okay,
The email list.
okay.
I'm doing that part.
yeah.
Sue
Okay.
I'll get the
Sue and
list.
Sue have the list to do the email once we get it. But we
Okay.
need the social media, which we can take the list, the email, and put that on the social media. Not this, the Roadrunner and that.
Yeah.
The tote's gonna come, they're gonna be this price,
Yeah.
need a deposit. We're-
And
are
go
we
to the
good?
website and sign up.
Right, are we good with you guys, your ladies, collecting the fees right at Town Hall?
That's the only thing we've got.
Okay, just making sure,
Yeah, we wouldn't have much choice.
That's how it was done
Though-
before.
okay?
Given the size of the upcoming election, I would rather the fees, they didn't start paying until after the election.
It doesn't sound like
I don't
this
think
would
we'd be
happen
ready for
until
that,
after
yeah.
the election.
Yeah,
at this
I'd
point.
rather
Didn't-
all this happened after the election.
Didn't get any kind of lead time, but the indications on I bet you're a ways out of the lead time on this. Everything's way out.
Yeah.
I think there's a real nice coincidence with Maine Recycles Week, November 14th
Yep.
through 18th, and that's, you know,
Yeah.
gives you time to catch your breath, and then also gives us a real excuse to push that out.
Good.
Maybe we use the Roadrunner, and you know, what can you recycle and all of that. You know, a
Yeah, I
little,
think there's a lot of opportunity for pushing information out that week, and I suspect that there will be other organizations that we can pull from to kind of give people information in a bunch of different ways.
I can work with Melissa on the Roadrunner for an article.
Great.
You said it's November 14th to 18th, Maine
14th to
Recycles.
18th, right.
14th to 18th. I think I just skipped an agenda.
We may not,
No, that's good. That's absolutely fine.
is the November, the October Roadrunner is gonna be out soon.
Right.
We may not have the information, real specific information, you know, the price of the totes and when and where for that. But we could do something on recycling and totes, what, you know, look for totes.
Look for this information coming. Yeah. Yeah. That'd be great. Good. Are we covering all the bases on getting the bins and the totes and the composters and whatever?
I think so.
We're good?
Nate, you're gonna get us definite prices
Mm,
and pictures?
mm. Pictures,
of-
diagrams.
Yep, please.
What is that? 8x10 color glossy photos with
There you go.
descriptions and arrows on the back describing where they go. Okay.
Autographed, please.
Okay. Sounds good. Anything else on that? Thank you. Thank you very much. So the next thing is just update on the amended trash recycling policy. It was approved in June by the select board. Is there anything you wanted to share on that, or?
No, nothing's really changed much. We got the policy. I tried it once and I'm not gonna go there again. So at this point, we haven't done much with it.
By tried it once, you mean there?
I had somebody complain that their trash got strewed all over the side of the road, and they wanted us to pick it up. And I asked them, we went down and cleaned it up, and I asked them to put it in trash barrels, and that didn't go so good.
Okay. Did they have a copy of the policy? Did you have a copy to hand?
I got
to
it
them?
back, so, yeah,
I'm sorry?
they gave it back to me.
They gave you the policy back?
Yeah, I handed it to them, they handed it back to me.
Is
Well,
that the
that's
one that I
unfortunate.
went with you on?
No,
That's
that was enough.
unfortunate.
I did a different one? Okay.
Yeah. I found, I gotta say this, 99% of the people are very easy to deal with. It's that 1%. And
Right.
they're the ones that are piling the trash up in a bag at the end of the driveway, right on the edge of the pavement. And we're coming into a time of year with the plow trucks that we have to pay attention to trash day. White trash bags blend into snowbanks, and so we're gonna try to get a little bit, step into it a little bit, see what we can do with it.
Is there, I mean, I know we're the recycling committee, but it's all tied together, as we all know. Is there anything more that we can do from this end of things
I don't
to
think
try
so.
to help?
I don't think so. The problem is I don't know what, when they say no, what do you do? I'm not buying a trash barrel.
Well, and I think one of the good things is that as people are coming into the town office that are new, one of the things they ask for is where can I take my bulky waste and whatnot, and we've printed on the back of the bulky waste sheet the policy. So if they ask us about trash pickup, we give them that as a welcome to Raymond kind of thing, so. They're getting it to the newer people are getting it to start with.
So is there a way to put something on the electric signs as well about, you know, to alert people to the trash policy? It might pique a little interest, and it's on the
Well, maybe
website.
we-
Here it is on the website.
Maybe we should advertise it in the Roadrunner
Yeah,
when that comes around next. That might be because I don't think we did we so?
no,
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 we
we
didn't.
didn't. And it's a one-page policy, so we could.
Well, it doesn't have to have the full policy necessarily if the space
Yeah.
isn't there in the Roadrunner, but
Just
to
the
alert
highlights of
people
it.
to it.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
That might be a good thing to hold off till spring, right before we start the season of visitors.
Well, we could do it more than once.
Yeah.
I think it may need it multiple
Yeah,
times.
you know, it's not, yeah, I think we, you know, we could do it a couple times a year, you know, just routine. I know it costs, right, to put it in there, but, you know,
Does it-
what amazes me is that Casella picks up pretty much any amount that's out there, they seem to pick it up.
They keep a pretty good tab on who's putting what out. We've got the same people on the trucks most of the time, and they pay pretty good attention to, this house has had nothing out for a month now, they've got more than their 2 bags. That house has had 5 bags out every week, that's the ones that I get the call on. So they've been pretty good about that, and they do very, very good at trying to clean up the mess. They don't
They
carry
do.
rakes and shovels on the truck, so that's when we get involved.
They don't leave the trash behind, they pick it up. If it's out there,
Yeah.
they pick it up.
Right, and so,
But they do let you know, okay, so that's interesting, I didn't know that.
We got a pretty good
But you know, yeah, if people don't put
communication
anything out for a while and they put it all out at once, I'm glad, that's good that they would pick that up.
Don?
I get these, Nate's, you know, Sue, we get these all the time, but when I get them, I tell people, put it out the night before, put it in a barrel with a good lid. I mean, ideally a toter, but a lid that, you know, is secure for animals. If you do those 2 things, you'll always have collection joy. It'll happen just magically. If you try to time the trucks and put it out in the morning, that's a problem because sometimes they changed up the route, sometimes there are different drivers on the route, that's a problem. If you put it out in, you know, bags and, you know, animals are gonna get in it, or if you've got a flimsy barrel, you know, that's gonna be a problem. You'll get a good container, put it out the night before, put your recycling out beside it, it'll be a winner for you. That's
Good
it,
advice.
yeah.
Well, if anyone can think of other ways to help kind of, not enforce it, but communicate it to
Yeah.
people and have a little more compliance, because it is still, I mean, it's great that it's still getting picked up, even when
Yeah.
people aren't keeping it in the barrels.
But but you think about it, I mean, I was on one of these calls with Nate, and this guy was a little bit over the top, well, a lot over the top, and, you know, Nate cleaned it up, he shoveled it up, raked it up, and, you know, very polite, and then he's headed back to the truck, and the guy says, you missed a piece. Was it like an orange peel
Yeah, it
or
was a little
something?
piece of orange
A
peel.
little piece of orange peel, and I'm like, you know,
You
there's
should
a
be
limit here.
composting
There's a
it.
limit here. I said, get in the truck, Nate. Have a nice day.
Yeah,
Oh, God,
I'm sorry for that, but
yeah.
maybe
Oh,
just
that's
having,
terrible.
right, getting more communication out in terms
But
of
we
something
do,
on the
we
route
do
run.
give a high level, very high level of service, not only, you know, the town, but Casella does as well.
Yeah.
They pick
Okay.
it up.
Yeah.
All right, well, hopefully everybody's watching this committee meeting at home and hearing about the trash policy.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Again, if there's any other ideas going forward, you know, let's hear them. Anything else on that? If not, going right along to the Casella presentation at schools, is that sort of at a standstill, I suspect, Sue, with things going on, or do you have anything for us on that?
Well, I did talk to Beth Peavy at the beginning of the school year, and she was still interested. So I've recently emailed Beth and Taylor, what's her name?
Talia.
Talia.
Taylor.
And, you know, with both of them on the email, and because it's better that they talk together. Last year, it just got all confused with me in the middle, so they communicated. So I'm not sure if it's gonna work out. We'll see if they can get together with it, but it's gonna have to be Taylor and Beth to really talk about what they can do and what they want. And if it doesn't, if Casella can't do what Beth would like to do, Beth doesn't want to just do one classroom.
Right.
You know, she'd like to do something different. She has some ideas of what to do and stuff. So if that can't happen, I'm going to call Eco Maine and see if I know we're not an Eco Maine place, but just kind of feel them out in terms of, they do a lot of education. So I'll try that next if this doesn't work out.
I just wonder if there's even I don't know, if there's a club at the high school of students doing some sort of presentation on composting and recycling to students. Anybody happen to know? I don't know. I can find out. some sort of environmental club. There usually is something like that at a high school, so. Might be a project for students to do for students. Does that make sense?
Yep.
They may be a Save the Earth Club, you know, where the composting would fit right
So you're
in.
saying have them come and talk to the younger students? Yeah.
Or even do a video or
Scouts.
something.
Is that a project for scouts? Do they still do some sort of like Eagle Scout project or something? I don't know anything about that
They
stuff.
do.
I just know that they, yeah, let's see what I can find out there.
There's a
Not gonna-
couple of fairly active Girl Scout troops as well.
Great.
Just putting it out there.
Okay.
For the 5 people that are watching right now.
Okay.
If you know groups of kids that might be interested in raising awareness around recycling and composting.
Okay. Okay, that's Maine Recycles Week. It'd be great if they were doing something for Maine Recycles Week. I don't know how quickly you might get students involved in something like that, but at least to have something in the Wyndham Eagle, in the Roadrunner section. It costs us to put something in the Roadrunner, or it's just a question of
No,
limited space?
we have,
Limited
you know,
space.
2 pages,
Okay.
and we pay an amount for that
Okay,
annually, so that's what we have. We have to fit it in those 2 pages.
okay, so just getting something in there, and that would be great to just help everybody who looks at that, which is probably just about everybody, to be aware of that just.
But
helps.
if you had an event, I will tell you, they're always looking for stories, that, you know, it's not hard to get on the front page. So if we had something going, we could, you know, I guess market a story, and they probably would do it. They would do it, and it might get on the front page. It might be if the students were doing something, or we were doing something, you know, that could be a regular story. And then it goes to everybody in town, whether they like it or not, so they get it, right?
I think at minimum, we should definitely put something in about ordering the totes and the compost bins and put it under that heading, I think.
You know, that in and of itself, you might be able to convince them, you know, the committee's been working, here's what we're doing, and maybe they do that as a story. You never know. Because you don't have much room in the Roadrunner.
No,
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Right,
Yeah.
so it's Melissa.
Melissa McConkey.
Right, but if somebody needs to contact the editor or something like that, I'm willing to do that. If you have an idea, I can give them a call.
Well, I mean,
Probably after the election, I'm sure. I don't think, I mean, the paper is just overflowing with political stuff right now, so.
right, but I mean, to
yeah,
just even
after
have
the
the,
election is good.
sorry. Just to, I mean, have an article about recycling in Maine Recycles Week, rather than just a blurb in the Roadrunner.
Yeah, and then talk about what,
Yeah.
I
Talk
mean,
about what you've been doing.
yeah, like what the town has been doing around it and maybe what Wyndham's doing and, you know, if there's anything going on. There's definitely an sort of somewhat interesting story there.
I think so,
Well, yeah, and if they could do it Wyndham and Raymond, that's even better for them.
right, yep. Okay, so next steps, we've got some folks that are doing some things on the bins and communicating, and let's see, I'll check as far as maybe some student group that might be doing something. And Sue, you'll check back with Beth and with the person from Casella, I forget the name again, Talia, you said? Is that
Yeah.
the person from Casella? And if there's nothing happening there, then maybe reach out to Eco Maine.
Will
You were
do.
gonna check into some grants, possible,
I'll-
see what there
I'll
might
look
be.
into
The other
some-
thing we could do, I don't know that they have anything available, but something tells me that they may have stepped into the PR thing, and that's our former MWAC, now Maine Waste Action, our plant. They may have a person who is involved with recycling and communications and that sort of thing. ECO does that in a big way, but our plant may do it in a small way, I think.
Okay. Do you
Possibly.
get that, Sue? Do you wanna, since that's sort of in line with what,
John King
been
is the
doing-
executive director
yeah.
there, so he's somebody you could call and ask what they have for resources.
Okay, so that's MWAC?
Was MWAC, now it's Maine Waste Action, no, it's now Maine Waste to Energy, I'm sorry,
Waste to
Maine Waste to
Energy.
Energy. It was MWAC,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Maine
All right,
Waste to
I'll-
Energy.
You must have some contact info from
Yep.
John.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, just if you could just email it to me, that'd be
Yep.
great. Okay, I will do that. That's good.
Okay. Any other next steps? Sounds like we got enough next steps for now? Okay. A next meeting at some point. I'm not sure how long we continue to meet as a committee, but do we need a next meeting?
I
Maybe
think
until
we
we've got the
need
bins?
to find out when the bins are coming in and a meeting before that to kind of make a plan of how we're distributing them.
Okay.
When, where, who's gonna staff the pickup. So maybe the meeting date can be up in the air for right now.
That sounds good to me.
Once Nate finds out when we can get our bins.
Does that make sense? I'm looking at Rolf and Sue also.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds good.
Okay.
Do we need anything approval from the select board to do this, Ro?
It's never a bad idea
To do what?
to go and purchase the bins and to remarket them to the citizens.
No, no, because it's a zero cost, because,
Right.
you know, you're getting them, passing along. It was, you know, essentially it's been discussed as far in this, you know, in this committee before, so I don't see a problem with, if it was, you know, if you know, if it was a cost to the town, that'd be one thing, but it's not really, because it's it's gonna be reimbursed, so.
Right, so I think maybe it would be just something I would do as an announcement.
Information.
Yeah, I think that's good.
And before the committee disbands, would it be a good idea to have a summary to present to the select board? This is what we accomplished, this is what we
We did one
discussed.
earlier,
Yeah,
but
I'm
I
not
think
sure that there's a lot to add to what we last did.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
but
think,
I
yeah,
meant more
Grace-
as a
Grace-
final wrap-up.
Well,
Well, after the bins,
Yes,
perhaps
yeah.
after all of that, that would be good.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we could do a report and make recommendations about, things to keep an eye
Go
on.
forward.
And
Okay,
I think that's always a good idea.
sure. Okay. So, just back up a second too, though, do we need to let the select board know, or are you all set, Rolf, with just sharing the information
I'm just
we've
gonna
done?
do it
as-
as a, an announcement,
Okay,
or an update.
perfect.
So, somebody will give me the Reader's Digest synopsis, so I can do that, and then they'll know about it, and the public will hear it in the meeting, and that'll be all. Because as Ralph points out, revenue neutral, the Raymond way.
Okay, so you're just gonna update them on the bins and whatever, and then
What's
we'll do a
happening,
summary
what's happening,
later.
what we're doing, and then they'll know about it.
Perfect, okay. Thank you. Okay, so that takes care of new business, public comment, and committee comment. And I think we're all commented out. Okay. If there's nothing else for this evening, I would just like to thank everybody and hope everybody's safe driving in what sounds like some rain coming. And I take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Kathy, in a second.
Second.
Jessica? All in favor of adjournment? We are adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you.